This video is sponsored by Factor. I will be talking about it more later in the video. Hello my chicken liver eaters, welcome back to a brand new video. So today, in style of one of my other videos, we're going to be looking at my favorite horror games that were released in the past 10 years. The last video I was told that I had some insane takes, so let's keep that energy rolling and let's just get into this video. So as we get into the first game, before you leave a comment saying, "Where's The Last of Us? Where's this game?" 99% of those comments, that game came out before 2014, so just keep that in mind as I talk about these games. Some of my favorite games aren't even on this list because once again, it is the last decade. It's not overall my favorite game. So yeah, we're gonna start with 2014, which is a decade ago. That makes me feel old as shit. I was reading some hilarious comments of people saying like they thought a decade ago was 2010. Nope, it's 2014. This is ridiculous. Time is moving way too fast. And one more thing, I'm sorry, I just need to add this. I will not be discussing every single game that came out that year. It's just a handful of some popular ones and then my overall favorite for the year. So let's actually get started this time. Unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about it. In 2014, Five Nights at Freddy's came out. And say what you will about Five Nights at Freddy's, about the fandom, about the community, this game used to go so hard. I did think this game was overall really scary when it came out. I was a 14-year-old, so that might be one of the reasons. And I also remember about 8 months ago, I used to work at Old Navy before I started doing this YouTube thing. And on one of my shifts, I listened to the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. And honestly, it's awesome. Although the community might be cringe and it may be little children, this game is cool. And I think the lore is honestly pretty sweet. Another game that came out this year is Alien Isolation, and I actually have been playing it recently for an upcoming video. And because of that, I don't want to give too much away, but this game is really scary. And if you're a fan of the Alien games, definitely check this out. And I honestly can't believe how low of scores this game got when it came out. Maybe on release it was broken and I missed it because I'm jumping on now, but this game is phenomenal. For me, it's like an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 game. And yeah, that's Alien Isolation. The Evil Within came out. I'm currently playing through this right now, so once again, I don't want to give away too much. I remember when the trailer came out for this, my brother specifically was super hyped about it, and he even got me excited about playing it. But when it came out, we just never played it. I think he might have, but I didn't. And I think The Evil Within is great. Wait, I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 came out right after Five Nights at Freddy's in the same year. It was only like 4 or 3 months apart. That is crazy. Scott Cawthon was just cooking. I don't really consider this game a horror game, but it's so niche that I just want to add it. Do you guys remember the game Escape Dead Island? It was like a weird spin-off game in the Dead Island universe, which I love the first Dead Island. It is one of my favorite games of all time, and I do not care. I had so much fun playing through the game with my friend. It was probably one of the best memories I've ever had. And yeah, they released this like weird spin-off that literally had nothing to do gameplay wise with Dead Island. And yeah, it's just a weird little project. Man, all this talking about horror games has made me hungry. That problem is solved with our sponsor for today's video, Factor. So being a full-time student and also a part-time YouTuber, with editing and recording takes up a lot of my day. And after all that, to be honest, I really don't feel like cooking. That's where Factor comes in. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. Factor has a team of gourmet chefs and registered dietitians work hand in hand to create meals from scratch using ingredients with integrity. Factor takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus, veggie, and more. Personally, I went with the calorie smart option, and I do not regret my decision at all. It's as easy as taking it out of the fridge, popping it out of the sleeve, poking some holes, and just throw that baby in the microwave for 2 minutes, and you have a delicious meal ready for you to be eaten. This is the herb Greek chicken tomato penne. Get a look at that. This is my Mustang. I'll let you know what I think. Here we go. Very. Are we eating at home or is this a restaurant? Because genuinely I can't tell. Overall, 9.8 out of 10. And I'm not even being biased. So scan the QR code or head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code Zeark50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. Once again, that is code Zeark50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of order. The people over at Factor are awesome, so please go to the link, and thank you Factor so much for sponsoring the video. Alright, now let's get back to the horror games. And my favorite horror game of all time, and in 2014, was PT. PT isn't necessarily a horror game, it's a demo for the canceled horror game, which is Silent Hills. I've talked about PT probably 4 or 5 times on this channel. I even have a whole video dedicated to it if you want to go check it out. This game was such a transformative experience for me. It taught me what horror can really be, what actually hits me when it comes to things that are scary, and that not everything needs to be jump in your face jump scare to actually scare the shit out of you. I feel like every horror game after this, I've just been on the hunt for something that comes close. The only thing that ever has really come close is Visage, and that game is essentially a carbon copy, and it actually gets less scary the more you play it. And there are a lot of problems with the game, but overall, it is just the perfect horror game in my opinion. Nothing is better than this. And yeah, let's move on to 2015. Now, going into 2015, I wouldn't say that this was an amazing year for horror games, but I'm assuming as I go down this list, it's gonna get worse. Bloodborne is on this list, but I would not say that Bloodborne is a horror game. There are aspects of horror, but its general gameplay and the way it works is not horror oriented. But Bloodborne is an amazing game, and soon it will be able to be played on PC because the emulator teams that are working on this is actually crazy. And also, Sony, this is directly to you. If you don't release this game soon on PC or PS5 with a 60 FPS patch, I'm gonna leave a bag of flaming dog shit on your doorstep. So yeah, you're gonna wanna release that soon, buddy. Also this year, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and 4 came out. This dude's just releasing 2 games a year, which is insane. Until Dawn, which is also one of my favorite horror games of all time, came out this year. They're actually remastering this, so definitely check this game out if you haven't before. And I know I'm kind of cheating with this answer, but it is listed as a horror game, kinda. Dying Light was also one of those games that I loved immensely when it came out. I still play it to this day, new playthroughs at least once a year when Halloween comes around. Dying Light is my favorite of 2015, and I would argue that it actually is a horror game. Have you ever played this game on its hardest difficulty at nighttime? Self-explanatory. And really quickly, just when Ad Soma came out, I have not played this yet. I have it downloaded. I will play it, guys. Do not worry. But I've only ever heard amazing things, so I'm excited to check that one out. Now we are getting into the 2016 era of horror games. I'm gonna try to speed this up a little bit because this video might come out to like an hour and 40 minutes. So I'll give the name of the game, I'll give like a 3-word review, and then I'll tell you more about my favorite. Dead Rising 4 came out this year. What a dog shit game. It's disrespectful to the fans, the franchise, anyone who's ever played any Dead Rising before, and it should be 4 feet under the ground because that's where it deserves to live for the rest of its life. Dying Light the Following came out, awesome DLC, very fun. Layers of Fear came out this year. It's labeled as a walking simulator. I always forget that that's actually a category for some games. I think personally it's a pretty scary game. It does get a little bit boring, and also the people that made it have a funny name, Bluebird Team. Doom should not be on this list. Doom is not a horror game. I don't know how Doom can be labeled as a horror game when you literally are like the monster. You're hunting everyone down. If I didn't mention this game, I would probably get strung up on a hook. Dead by Daylight came out this year. I think it was fun when I first played it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's very good anymore. Yeah, this year was a bit of a stinker for horror games. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. But if I were to pick my favorite game that came out this year, it would probably be the game Inside. This is labeled as a horror game, and honestly, I think it should be because there are parts of this game that get your heart beating and racing. This is one of my favorite like side scroller games of all time. I love when games have physics in them, kind of like Half-Life 2, and basically every single puzzle in this game is physics based. It's a very tight-knit, short, and overall amazing game, and I recommend it to literally anybody to play this game, gamer or not. Definitely check this one out. I said let's speed this up, but I feel like that one took the longest, dude. I'm gonna have to speed it up a little bit more. Now I'm gonna say 2017 was a banger for horror games. Let's list off a few right now. Bendy and the Ink Machine, Outlast 2, the RE2 Remake came out this year. The hilarious Friday the 13th game. Absolutely adore this game. Little Nightmares came out this year. Doki Doki Literature Club, The Evil Within 2, and Hello Neighbor came out this year. I will have to say my favorite from this year is definitely Resident Evil 7 for sure. I feel like this game gave me PT vibes through like the first half of this game before you get like super geared up and you just start shooting shit. It was entertaining all the way through, and it was also terrifying. And I really hope they kind of go back to this formula instead of like Resident Evil Village, where it was literally just an action game the whole time. I feel like Resident Evil 7 is really rooted in horror, and overall it's an amazing game that you definitely should check out. Now we are moving into the 2018 category. Unfortunately, Baldi's Basics came out this year, and I'm only saying unfortunately for one reason. I used to be a React channel. I used to react to things, horror games. I used to play them on live stream all the time. And although I'm not completely ashamed of my past because I still love the viewers that I had, I would probably get a DM on Instagram, Discord, YouTube comments of 4-year-olds begging me to play Baldi's Basics. Every day, I would just see Baldi's Basics at least 3 times. And please guys, in the comments, don't do it as a joke. You're gonna give me PTSD, please guys. The Forest came out this year. Hunt Showdown is on this list. I guess it's a horror game. Hunt Showdown is really underrated. If you like extraction shooters and like, old Western kinda, I would check it out. But the best game that came out this year was Overkill's The Walking Dead. I'm just kidding. That game was so fucking bad. We've literally been cursed with Walking Dead games. There really cannot be any good ones besides the Telltale one. And maybe I'm missing one, but that's the only one that I can think of that was actually good. We also got We Happy Few, Nun Massacre, and that is essentially the ones that I played or heard of. And my favorite of this year would probably be Nun Massacre when it comes to horror games. This game scares the daylights out of me. Yes, it does use very abrupt, loud sounds to scare you, but when you first experience that super loud, scary nun chasing scene, it literally sets the vibe for the rest of the game. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you're always waiting for that loud ass noise to come back in, and it makes it terrifying. So yeah, my favorite of 2018 is definitely Nun Massacre. Moving on swiftly to the 2019s. Now I have a bone to pick with one of these games in here, and I'll get to it in a second. But World War Z came out this year. I would not consider that a horror game in the slightest. Days Gone came out this year. I guess you could say it's a horror game. Another Five Nights at Freddy's. This dude is just releasing game after game every year. Layers of Fear 2 came out this year. And there's a game that came out this year by the little name of Blair Witch. Now, I'm so sorry if you find this game absolutely terrifying. You loved every second of it. I fucking hated Blair Witch. I had a weird experience playing this game. I was told it's one of the most terrifying games that people have ever played. I played through the whole entire thing, and it felt like I didn't. At the end of the game, I was like, what did I just do for the last like 6 hours? I didn't remember any of it really. Nothing scared me at all. It is literally quintessentially the definition of a walking simulator, and I found it boring and not scary. The movie, on the other hand, I'm a huge fan of. Don't get it twisted. I just did not like the game at all. This year, it was actually really bad for horror games. Wait, guys. I actually almost just left out Resident Evil 2 because I did not see it. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Resident Evil 2 is the best horror game of this year. Not only that, it is also a very important showcase as to what a remake should be and what it should look like. I am not a huge fan of survival horror games, just because the backtracking and finding items. I did not have that problem at all with Resident Evil 2. That's how amazing this game was. You know what? At the end of the video, I'm gonna rank like my favorite year of horror games. Let's add that to the mix. Resident Evil 2 really carried this year. It's an amazing horror game. I'm gonna say it, check it out. How many times have I said check it out? Someone keep a tally. Now we are moving into the 2020s. 2020 is looking a little bleak here. Resident Evil 3 came out, the remake for that game, and people weren't a huge fan of it. I kind of felt like this game was rushed, and you can tell just because of the little small things in the game just not being there from the sequel before. If you release a game and it's named Resident Evil 2, and it has amazing small little details, and then you release Resident Evil 3, the game that's supposed to come after that with improvements, and it doesn't have those little details, you know that there was something wrong with this. I don't think it's a horrible game. I don't think it's the worst game in the world. I just think it could have been so much better. That weird Predator, To Catch a Predator Hunting Grounds game came out. That died within like the first 15 days. I feel like every year these like weird niche games come out, like Predator Hunting Grounds, Friday the 13th, that one Evil Dead game that came out not that long ago, along with the Killer Clowns from Outer Space game, and even the Texas Chainsaw game. These games come out and they're alive for like a month and then nobody plays them ever again. They all have like the same janky ass controls and they're fun, and then they just get super boring and there's no content, and then they're abandoned, and then they're taken off storefronts because there's a conflict with the copyright. It's a tale old as time, and it's probably never going to change. I get so excited when they talk about these games, like when they showed off, oh, a Texas Chainsaw game is coming out, I'm thinking it's gonna be a linear horror game experience where you're trying to hide from Leatherface and his family. No, it's a multiplayer game. I may be on my own with that opinion, but can we just make some single player story driven games around these horror films and stop just throwing them in the same formula of PvP killer versus it's Dead by Daylight clones? All right, I'll relax, guys. I'm sorry. The Last of Us Part 2 came out this year. It is not as good as the first one. The gameplay itself, yes, I just think it is a little bit bloated. It is super hard to replay the game because of how fucking long it is. And I'm not a Last of Us Part 2 hater per se. I just don't think anything could have topped the first game because it actually is in my top 5 favorite games of all time. If I have to give The Last of Us Part 2 a score, I'd probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5. Phasmophobia came out this year. When I first played this, I was super intrigued when my brother told me there's a VR game where you can hunt ghosts, and I played it and it was fun for like the first week. And every single month and year after I played it for that first week, it has never been as fun. And I've basically put it down completely. Unless a friend asks me to play it, I'll hop on. But yeah, Phasmophobia came out in 2020. Amnesia Rebirth came out this year. I don't remember a ton of actual fans of Amnesia enjoying this game, but I do remember it was getting some pretty good critical reception. Personally, I never tried it because I'm honestly not a fan of the Amnesia games. I'm not saying they're bad games, they're just not games that are made for me. If you enjoy Amnesia, I completely understand why. But to me personally, not a huge fan. And my favorite of 2020 is definitely Visage. Closest you're gonna get to PT without it actually being PT. And it is a great psychological horror game that does get a little bit frustrating farther you go on. That's the best way I can say it. So 2021, The Medium came out, that weird Xbox exclusive game with a really cool concept that honestly wasn't the best. Little Nightmares 2 came out, awesome puzzle platforming survival horror game. I recommend it. Resident Evil Village was released, good game, not necessarily super scary. More of like a Resident Evil 5 type of action game with some horror mixed in. Fucking Poppy Playtime came out, dude. If I have to go to Target one more time and I see a fucking Poppy Playtime plush, I'm gonna take it home just to blow it up. And I will just like to say that the Dark Pictures anthology games were coming out by Supermassive Games, the same people who made Until Dawn. I'm not really covering them in this video. I do think they're good horror games. Personally, I just haven't played them. I've watched like YouTubers play them. But if I were to give my favorite horror game of this year, it would probably be Resident Evil Village or Little Nightmares 2. It's kind of like a toss-up between them. And yeah, let's move on to 2022. I don't know why the fuck Elden Ring is on here. It does have some creepy like body horror. Like, I guess you could take that into consideration. It is pretty scary on your first playthrough if you've never played a FromSoft game. I'm not going to count it on this list because I do not think it's a horror game, but Elden Ring is amazing. I've beaten it so many times with so many different builds. I love Elden Ring, but it's definitely not a horror game. Dying Light 2 came out. This game was a huge disappointment. It was severely downgraded from what they showed before, and the fact that they even touched the zombie physics from Dying Light 1 and thought they could like remake them or try to make them better is absolutely insane. And the fact that they shipped this game with these horrible zombie response mechanics when you hit them with any weapon is just baffling to me. It's one of the main reasons I do not enjoy this game. The ragdoll physics are really not good, and they have made several improvements to make this game better, but when your core elements of the first game are just not there, I'm not a huge fan of it. I will maybe try to come back around and play it, but I did beat this game on release and I have come back a couple times. Yes, the updates are quite impressive, but I just feel like the soul isn't there like the first game. Evil Dead, the game, came out this year. I was just talking about this. That game is like shovelware now at this point. No one is playing it. The Quarry came out and Madison came out. And is this Doors? Is this Roblox Doors? Why is it on this list? The Callisto Protocol came out this year. I was just watching a video literally right now about how this game was just shafted by the publishers and the big head suit wearing money grabbing people basically ruined the development of this game, cutting it 3 months short when they were told they were going to have like 15 months. And then like a couple weeks later, they were like, hold up. You know what? You're going to have to push this game out even faster. You thought you were releasing it in 2023. No, it's coming out in 2022. Callisto Protocol could have been amazing if they gave it enough time. Unfortunately, that's just how the industry is these days, and it was rushed. I'm gonna say that the best horror game of this year is Madison. I've actually come around on this game. I know I am quoted saying that this game was frustrating and it wasn't scary to me. I have become somewhat of a fan. I do enjoy it. And if we're talking about specifically horror games, which I'm doing with this video, this is definitely taking #1 place in 2022. All right, 2023 time. So 2023 is an interesting one. There were a lot of games released this year. Buckshot Roulette came out this year. Alan Wake 2 came out. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre game came out this year. They're just going to keep doing this every year with the same formula. I've already ranted about it. Amnesia the Bunker, The Outlast Trials, Dead Island 2, World of Horror came out. World of Horror is an awesome game. I think it is super stylistic. It isn't necessarily super fun to play, but it's just a crazy. And the Resident Evil 4 Remake came out this year. This one's a little bit hard. I don't know what to choose here. It's between the Dead Space Remake and the Resident Evil 4 Remake. I think I'm gonna have to give it to both of them. I actually just played the Dead Space Remake not that long ago. I played the Resident Evil 4 one on release. And in my head, they kind of stack up evenly. If I were to give the edge to one game, it's definitely the RE4 Remake, because I grew up with Resident Evil 4, playing it on the GameCube basically every single day, never being able to defeat the village mission right in the beginning. I even have an original physical copy of the game, like in a sleeve, because I love it so much, and I'm never gonna sell it. I'm keeping it for the rest of my life. So, you know what, yeah, let's give it to the RE4 Remake. Now, let's move on to the final year, which is 2024. For horror games, 2024 so far has honestly sucked ass. Like I said, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is on this list. Honestly, the game was kind of fun though, and I can't believe they actually got their own game. I never thought that would have happened. The Alone in the Dark remake came out with the guy from Stranger Things in it. That's all I remember. Sons of the Forest, which honestly, I'm just gonna tell you right now, the best horror game so far of this year probably is Sons of the Forest. Although when it did release, it was a little bit rough. I am a huge fan of the original game, so this one was always gonna be good to me. And to finish this year out, we actually still have some big hitters coming in. One of them being the Silent Hill 2 remake, which I'm very skeptical of, and I honestly do not think it is going to be good. I would love to be optimistically proven wrong by this, and I hope it comes out. I hope it's amazing, but the original Silent Hill 2, man, it's scary to touch that game and try to remake it. But from what I've seen, it looks kind of jank, and I'm a little bit afraid, but I definitely will check it out day one. And A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, which I feel like not a lot of people are talking about, but it definitely looks like an interesting horror game. I think the concept of it is pretty generic, you know, there's always like stealth games, but this one has a bit of a twist on it, being the universe that it's in. I think the universe is super interesting, although it is not completely fleshed out yet. There's probably more lore to come. I think this game overall is going to be pretty solid. So yeah, if I were to give my favorite game of this year so far, it's probably Sons of the Forest. And yeah, I hope I didn't offend too many people in this video. These are just my opinions. Feel free to leave yours in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm so sorry it's taken 2 weeks to put this out. I've just been super busy with school, like I always am. I'm almost done though, so don't worry. I will be able to put more time into these videos. And there have been like these scheduling conflicts, and it's just been a lot. So the video ends here. If you don't want to hear anything else, that is the video. Thank you so much for watching. But I just want to take this time to genuinely tell you guys how appreciative I am of your support. So it may get a little bit sappy here. If you don't want to hear it, like I said, you can turn it off. Before my YouTube channel started doing good, I was a severely broke college kid. There were expenses that I was not able to pay. I was terrified of what I was going to do a little bit later in my life, and I feel like my dream, even when I was a child, was always to do YouTube videos. I gave that dream up when my channel started to flop severely, and I was not happy at all with the content I was making. I did not want to be in the reaction space, and every single time I tried to branch out of it, I just couldn't. Until you guys came along, and I really do mean this, you drastically changed my life. I really do not know where I would be or how I would be mentally right now if it was not for you. And I can sit here and I can say I put in the hours, I put in the editing work, the filming, coming up with video ideas, but it just does not compare to the support that you guys give me. Without your support, there is no videos, there is no channel, there is no me chasing my dreams and making these videos. There's no one to talk to, there's no one to interact with. You guys are the soul of this channel. You are the reason it is the way it is. And to all my supporters, even like the new ones, the people that stuck with me when I was making reaction videos, and I really, really do mean this from the bellows of my heart, genuinely thank you so much. I cannot put it into words how much you guys have actually made my life significantly better. And I wake up every single morning with the blessing of being optimistic to the day and being happy just because of you guys. Like I said, I genuinely do not know where I would be in life right now if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, great night, and keep being amazing people. And to those who need to hear it, just know that somebody does love you. You are not alone. And the world is your oyster. If you're starting school this year, you got this. Keep chasing your dreams. Do what you want to do. And I wish you luck in the school year if you're a new student. I know it can be very stressful. And yeah, I'm sorry for yapping. Just thank you so much for watching the videos and subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, for real. Goodbye.